All right. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Remnant. Hello, family that's here with us today, and who's at home watching. Those are at home watching. Today, for our Wednesday outreach, I wanted to open up the class with a testimony about my life experience, short story of how I've already told the story of how I met the Remnant, ended up here, but I wanted to discuss today my walk with God, my disobedience towards Him, and the price I paid before I had to be broken to get back to where I'm at today. When I was 7 years old, well, my memory picks up as a child at 3. I remember gospel music playing in the house, CNN on TV a lot of news and bad news back then. They actually broadcast wars on TV. So I just remember a lot of chaos, but mixed in with Jesus paintings on the wall, stuff like that. My family joined the church. Me and my siblings and my stepdad and my mom joined the church at 7. When I was like maybe 6. I remember being baptized in the church at 7. And I remember being excited about being baptized and how the church treated us that day with me and my twin sister and my siblings. It was a beautiful day. And then I remember when we got home from that, my stepfather started to molest me and my sister. He was close with the deacons and he was, the go-to guy in the church. But he was also an alcoholic and a drug user, and he abused my mother and me and my sister. So being young, I remember loving God and loving the church experience, but found myself questioning God. Why would you let this happen to my mother, my siblings, myself? Then I kind of, now I know the word was compromise, is what I saw in the church. Didn't know how to sum it up that way then, but now I see that's what it was. So it's not that I didn't believe in God anymore. I just didn't believe in men that spoke His word, because I would see the men speak it and had us in Bible study and choir and, but then they were alcoholics and they were abusers and they were child molesters. I remember our preacher, Reverend Washington, reading out of the Braille Bible because he was blind, but I also saw him pick out several women in the church and do questionable things. So like I said, it's not that I didn't trust God anymore. I stopped believing in the man that was delivering his message. Like I said, I seen compromise. Fast forward 7 years later, I meet Eddie. When I met him, his thing, I made a comment before in the Miami conference that he was always looking for God, like not looking for God, but always finding, on a mission to find a home, if you will, with trusted people. I remember, we would talk about God, have our conversations about God. And I remember being pregnant with Tori. He gave me the Bible when I was 8 months pregnant and told me to read it. And I remember scoffing at it because I'm like, a man is giving me the Bible. Flashbacks to, the last time that happened. But one thing about Eddie in that is that it wasn't for him, it was for me to get close to God again. I didn't see it that way. I'm young. So I read the Bible and sit on the front porch and people would walk away, my siblings and friends in the neighborhood would laugh like, oh my God, like, what are you doing? This and this and that. So, that was that. Then I was pregnant with Elijah when we were introduced. Well, he introduced me to the 22. Again, and that it was a group of individuals, getting closer to God, but I saw compromise in that. And I remember telling Eddie, like, it kind of reminds me of not the church, because it wasn't that by far, but just you see the leader doing questionable things and the women believing in it and the women following the questionable behavior. Eddie shielded me from a lot of things that they were doing and they allowed to do. Eddie shielded me from that. And after that, if you notice now we're on 7, the third 7. 7 years old, baptized. 7 years later, I met Eddie. 7 years later, Naya was born, and At that point, I chose to go back home to my family, which was my blood, related family. What I didn't realize is that when me and Eddie ended, and I chose not to continue to walk with God and still, even though the man delivering the message wasn't righteous, that God was, that's when I inadvertently, not knowing, turned against the Most High. And in that, I lost my family. I started to walk in a life where, I started walking a life that I felt like I wanted to do what I wanted to do. Mind you, I didn't go too far off the ledge and do questionable things that my morals were necessarily compromised, but I definitely lived. I drank, I smoked, I had, relationship. I went on to have 3 more children by another man. In that, I did not have the Most High in the forefront. Thank you. It's almost like, if you can imagine, waking up one day and deciding I don't want to go to church no more, let's just say it that way, and the Most High is sitting in a corner and he's watching you, and you say, I don't want this life. I want to do what I want to do. It's too much pressure to be righteous. And he's watching you and he goes, okay, yeah, fine, go. It's what he did. And I went. And in those years, wore me out. I wrote a letter to God. I forgot to bring it with me today. Side note, in the time after me and Eddie separated, I was in a relationship that was absolutely toxic, absolutely treacherous. 3 beautiful children came out of it, but it was just absolutely not okay for me and my children. And at the time, Eddie was in and out of town a lot. And this particular time, he just so happened to have Tori Elijah Manas with him that day. And I happened to go to my mom's house. And while I was gone and the kids were gone, during a drug deal gone wrong, my children's father was shot. That was the last time I seen Tori Elijah Manas for about a year, because it absolutely devastated our family. It tore us apart. In the year after that, I wrote a letter to God, and because now I'm thinking, oh, I need God in my life, right? How he, you never walk with him, and then something bad happens, you go to church, or something bad happens, you call on God, right? So that was me. And now I'm scrambling to remember everything I learned in the 22. I'm scrambling to remember church and what the preacher said, and don't even know where to start in the Bible. And I just wrote a letter to God, and I said to him, I'm here today. Please, give me my family back. Whatever you need me to do, I'll do. I wasn't specific about it because I literally meant whatever. And I kept the letter. I still have it with me today. And I've moved state to state. I've done a lot of moving. But I kept the letter, and it's like, once again, it's like the Most High was sitting in a corner and said, okay. But he did not give me my family back because he's seen I wasn't ready. Fast forward, life is happening to me left and right, and throughout the years, I was in contact with Eddie and, the children, and something bad would happen. I would call Eddie, and he just always had this, not I told you so, because he never said that, but it was kind of like this stillness of, you're not ready yet. You're not going to get your family back, and not necessarily him, but, the peace that comes with a family. And it was just always this stillness about him. It's like, you're just not ready yet, and looking back at it, I wasn't, because I still wanted God in my life, but I didn't want to do anything you got to do to keep him. I didn't want to give up hanging with my sister and doing things that the indoctrination teaches us to do, and how to live your best life and YOLO. I felt like I couldn't do that if I was submitted and obedient to the Most High. And he taught me a harsh lesson. And he did not give me my family back until he saw that I was ready. Right before Miami, I was in a relationship that was lasted 14 years. The last 5 years of that, now this man, he wasn't abusive or anything, but he was fighting his own demons, addiction, alcoholism, and he was suffering with his own demons. And it, on the phone with conversations with Tori, she even spoke on it last week, and she, ladies night, and she was like, yeah, mommy was just in her house, and mommy was just in her zone, and mommy never left her city. And what's crazy is that time of my life, I thought I found peace because I was content with not, I wasn't partying and going to the clubs and doing this and doing that. I was just stagnant. But I thought because I wasn't out there in the streets and doing these crazy things that somehow I was good. What I didn't realize is I was in a prison that I put myself in, the wilderness, if you will. I was literally wandering, just out there, but in the comfort of my own home, is what I would say it was. Right before the Miami conference, I was broken, y'all. I was, man. I had the audacity one day to say, man, I got to get back right with God because I don't know my purpose. And it reminded me of the story of Moses when he committed the murder and he exiled himself because he was shamed and he sent himself into the wilderness. That's what I did. And it wasn't that I was young and I made the comment that Eddie was always searching for something. He wasn't. Eddie was always on a path to take his family to the promised land. He was always on that path to lead us there, right? And by all means, if that means he was going without me, that's fine. Hence how the children made it to the remnant before me. If I wasn't broken and the Most High did finally, after all those years, watch me go through it, he allowed me to. They say he'll let you die in your misery. He allowed me to go through it. And in that moment when I questioned and said, what is my purpose? And I have 7 children, mind you. So, you got to be broken to feel that way. You got to be defeated. It was in that, is that I feel like the Most High was, like Elijah said, I feel like in that moment, he read my letter. And he was like, okay, she's broken. She's dead. Now I can comfort her. And he did. He opened up, Tori and everyone's heart, Eddie's heart, to say, you know what? Don't worry about the Miami trip. Don't worry about the money for the hotel. Just come. Just, come on. And if you guys remember, in Miami, I said, you couldn't have told me 22 years ago, I would have been in a 22-hour car ride. Whatever. Like Tori always said, you guys think he's a buffer? Man, imagine walking through life with this guy. But his love language is, like he said with the children, is to throw you to the wolves and, fend for yourself, because he really believes in the Most High. And they, like when he says sometimes that the Most High told him he would raise his children, that day that my ex got shot, you guys wouldn't believe the way it lined up. Like the 4 oldest just happened to be with him. Sometimes when I think back on that day, I'm like, there's no way. They just happened to be with him that day. It's like when I sit down and look at my whole life, I'm just like a living, walking testimony that God will give you what you want, whether it's good for you or not. We say here in the remnant, he don't need you. He will replace you. He will find another heart, as Elijah said. Picture it as if he wakes up every day and scans the earth for his people. He's looking for his people. The broken, the dead. And, like Dre always said, you got to come before him dead. You can't come full of pride. And like I say, the ego and, the glitz and glamour of it, because to stand here, you know, this is open and raw. My family come across this, they'll probably be like, why you tell the people that what we went through in church? And it's like, hey, because there's somebody out there right now that's, you know, probably identical story to mine, sitting back wondering how to get their family back. And the answer to that is you can't do you. You got to give it up. I mean, you can do you. You'll just walk in it. And it's lonely and it's quiet. I think if I wasn't broken and that didn't happen to me, I wouldn't see my grandson. I would not be in Tamim's life if I did not break. I keep mentioning Eddie because he's such a huge part of my life, right? I've known him 30 years. And the last couple of days, as I was doing research for my testimony, he's like Moses and Caleb. Moses in the sense that he's leading his people to the promised land, and Caleb in the sense that no matter what, he's not going to look back. He's not going to forget the promise. No matter who falls off and dies on the side, he's still moving. And to see that our family is whole again, you know, I have a relationship with my 3 youngest. I have a relationship with my 4 oldest. My grandson, you know, I'll be there when he just, guys, I'm just here to tell you that I questioned the Most High only because I saw compromise in the church and in the, you know, the other union that we had joined or whatever. I just seen them compromise. And so, and I remember Eddie telling me one time, you know, you too busy focused on the man and not the word. And to this day, that still hits me, right? Like, yeah, that's real, you know, because there is things from that I learned, you know, that coincides with what we believe. But I was so focused on the man delivering the message because I remember what I seen in the church, you know. And so, yeah, I just wanted to share that with you guys, that the Most High is with you, you know, whether you are choosing to do wrong or when you decide to do right. But he just can't help you until you're broken. He won't help you. Don't think he's not there. He is. He's watching it. But he's not going to defeat your enemies, and he's not going to rise you up out the ashes until you're ready. And he knows when you're ready. I wrote that letter in 2008. I met Dre and Dove in the Remnant last year. He let me sit in it that long. And you know how many times I thought I was broken, I thought I was ready? He was like, not yet. My loved one passed away. If I didn't have the remnant in my life when he passed away 8 months ago, that would have set me on fire. I would have took another 10 years without the tools of the information. And Tori will tell you, he passed away. He passed away on Thursday. The next day was class. What'd I say, Tori?
Oh, that was that day.
Oh, that day. Yeah, he passed away. And that day, oh, yeah, it was a Friday.
It was a Friday.
And I told Tori, turn on class.
Yeah. And she was on the couch weak and buried. And I was like, what do you want me to do? And she was like, put class on.
Yeah. Because I knew in that moment, because when my youngest children's father got shot and it separated our family, that gave, I use that as every reason to drink, smoke, lay in the bed for months. I just gave up.
But mind you, real quick, what's important is that you were in that same setting when Aaron passed away, and you ignored all of that.
Yes.
It was people in the house.
Yeah, it was people coming over with drinking. Yes, my sister and then was drinking. Yes.
She on the couch, tissues everywhere. It's like a mini party in the house, and she was like, "Put class on." So it just shows. Oh, I'm sorry. Not sorry, but thank you. But it just shows that how far removed you were from it, from my perspective, like seeing how you were with the situation with P, and what you entertained at that time as a source of comfort versus years later, or me seeing that from like 10 and then being 27. Huh? Oh, hold on, y'all, because this is a lot. Yeah. I was just gonna say really quick is like seeing who was she entertained when I was 10. Like when the situation happened, I was 10 years old, and I was aware of like, you know, it was more so fixated on like what you were gonna do, and getting my sibling, like getting our family back together. And so seeing that, you know, when this happened, I was 27 when Aaron passed away, and I raced over there, and I just knew my last point of reference of you being in a traumatic situation like that was a downward spiral.
Yeah.
And so it was that, and it was I didn't it felt like it was years, and so that's what I was preparing myself for mentally, was like, okay, I got to pick her up off the ground, like it's about to be horrible. So, you know, in that moment, seeing her be placed in that same setting with the drinking and people having parties, and I felt like it was disrespectful, because at the time I didn't even know where she was at. I walk in the house and I'm like, where is she? And she's on the couch, buried under covers. I can't even see her. And it's just people just talking about their favorite alcohol preferences, and it's like my mind really thought about it, when you feel like people aren't operating, and then you see them placed in a setting where the information shows itself. And instead of her sitting at that table entertaining it, she was completely zoned out in the midst of her grief, but was also saying, I need to put on class. And it's not like she said, put it in my bedroom, because I took her to her room originally because it was just a lot going on. And so she basically cleared the house out, because she like, no. She was like, put me in the living room. Not put me, but she was like, take me to the living room and put on class. I need to hear class. And so we watched class together, and that house emptied out. They was like, oh, she got Dre on TV. We ain't trying to hear this. And I swear, I sat and watched class with her, and surely enough, everybody got up and left. But she, the whole time, you know, and I would call her and check on her and help her. And she just was like, you know, the remnant, I need the remnant. I need to lean on them. And she just, you know, she did it. So yeah.
Oh, thank you. But yeah, but like Tori said, my point of reference to traumatic situations was to fold. But it was the strength of the remnant, and I knew the Most High was testing. I've been in the wilderness. I didn't want to go back. That was a long 40 years, if you will. But yeah, so I just wanted to share that with you guys. My message is, you know, the saying, if you know, you know. If you get the word and the Most High is with you and you can point them out in the room, just don't turn your back. You know, like Elijah said, Mommy, he gave you your family back. If, you know, imagine me dropping the ball. Imagine me rebelling again. Oh, man, I know him now, and I know he's a jealous God, and I know he don't need me. And I'm so afraid. I'm terrified of what that'll look like if I don't stay with him, if I don't keep him in my life. You know, I'm afraid, man, because it's by the grace of him I'm able to stand here in front of you all, you know, happy, healthy, content, really content, not fake content, really content. I know I've seen his works. I've seen what he's done. And I just got to thank Eddie, the patience with me. This was a lot. As Dre would say, that was a lot. I still am, but a better version of myself. But just stay strong, Remnant. Stay in the Word. For someone out there watching that's not Remnant, if you watch us and you don't understand, just know this. This is a safe space to share. I mean, it's people in this room that we've all been through some things together that, male and female, that you'll be surprised, the things that we've overcome. I seen something the other day that said, don't be afraid of your past. Don't be ashamed, right? It's not what you did that's shameful. It's turning your back on the Most High when he's there to pull you out of it. To me, that's shameful. I had the word in my life twice, and I went against it. I rebelled. Just there's no way to pretty it up. I was disobedient. I rebelled. And I had the nerve to say, well, he's with me. He's walking with me. No, The Most High wouldn't, he'll put you through some things, but what I was going through was life altering, and just like I said, the remnant came into my children's life and Eddie's life right on time, because without that, I would have for sure, when my loved one passed away, I would have for sure, that was probably going to take me to hell. I was on my way. But I love you guys and those at home watching and everyone here. Thank you for allowing me to share. I love you all.
Hey, how you? Okay, I guess I'm up. What's going on? I'm clear, everything. Trying to see where I'm gonna start. I was thinking about what she said, that I was always looking for a home. Is that what you said? Start off. The thing is that I always knew where my home was. I shared with a few brothers, for me, the start of my life. And what God had told me when I was 5 years old, and he said, for one, that I was sent and that I would walk with the one that he sent. So I was 5 years old and that was 79. So my 40 years was crazy because my 40 years ended in 2019, which the Most High would have revealed about some things that what my job was. So what my job is. So my whole life I have been steadfast on what my assignment to him was. So I remember when I was running the streets and everything, I would be sitting up in the spots. And when the Most High would tell me to get out, I would leave. So this would happen, this happened several times. So other guys in the crew said, man, how you always know when the people is coming? And I was like, man, God tell me. So, at first they thinking, man, okay, whatever. And I remember one time I was at high school, I went to Persian, and God told me, he said, hey, at the school, get away or you're going to get shot. So I had a homeboy, Pisa. Everybody called us twins. We look just alike. But after school, I'm trying to find anybody's house I can go over. At this particular day, nobody's home. I goes back up to the school, and I was talking to my friends. I said, man, I got to go, man, because God said, if I don't, I'm going to get shot. So I went home to my mother's house, and the phone was ringing off the hook. So they was, man, what happened up at the school, man? I heard somebody got shot. And I didn't know, but then it was my friend Pisa, got shot in the nose. And it's crazy because everything that I can verify, like the Most High have always left me a witness. Like we talking to anybody at home, they'll say, yeah, I remember that. And Pisa was, every time I would go to a spot and the police would come, when I would leave, Pisa would always get caught in the raid. So it became a time where Pisa will always leave, would not leave like, man, look, nah, hey, what God tell you this time? So my life has just always been like that because my mind has always been on the assignment, what the Most High had in store for me. Because he also did tell me that I would take my family to the promised land and that I would raise all 4 of my children and their mother wouldn't be there. So I wanted to read a letter that one of my best friends had wrote me. Mind you, this is my same best friend that one day had somebody send for me, brought me to his house for him to kill me. But just so happened, the guy who came pick me up took so long to take me to the house that he ended up leaving. And while I was sitting in the car looking at the house, I'm like, man, I ain't about to go up in there. He was like, oh man, come on. And the Most High said, you're not supposed to make it out this house, but believe me, walk in and you're gonna walk back out, but I want you to see something. And it's funny, a friend of mine was like, he said, man, knowing all that, it's crazy. You still call him your best friend, one of your good friends. And I said, well, it's not really the situation that happened. That situation always reminds me of what the Most High did for me and me and his relationship, and why I stand so firm in what I believe and what I know. That's why I buff, because one day the Most High told me I was going through it. So, I'm fussing at the Most High like, man, you telling me all these things, but I'm going through this. I'm going through it. He told me, he said, everybody I sent is going through it. But all the ones that I sent is waiting for a sign and a word. So again, that's why when I'm talking to y'all, sometimes, a few of the brothers, I hear that word, Dre. That's why sometimes I be having to leave, because I be like, man, he's telling my testimony. I was getting ready to say that same thing, but I recognize Dre because some of the things a lot of the things that the Most High have shown and revealed to him, he did to me. So it don't be like, and then I had just reminded, I was like, my nephew I didn't never want to watch the American Pimp because I was in the D gang. So when I was on the run, whatever, I'm in Atlanta, and my nephew kept asking me, man, let's watch this movie. He bugged me for like 2 weeks. In my mind, I'm thinking, because I was like, man, I gotta get back on my feet. And all that. I was like, man, go ahead and throw it on. But like I said, it was when he said I was allowed to be stripped and his posture and everything, I saw something and I heard something. And my mind went back to what the Most High said, that all of y'all are waiting for a word or a sign. And I always still remember my assignment. So I'm gonna read this letter and then I'm gonna close this out. Come on, Dub, where you at? Sorry, y'all, trying to have this already. I said, it's the same guy. He got 400 years. He got 4 life sentences. I ain't gonna get into his life, but he said, I was happy to hear from you, my guy. It's good to be thought about, especially knowing the love is genuine. Thanks for asking about me and the Most High. Not too many people include the Lord in their conversations or in their day-to-day plans these days. That's a good look. It also lets me know that you're still grounded in faith. Because one day I told him, I said, yeah, man, I know what you have planned for me. And we talked about it. He said, well, man, why would you still walk into the house if you know what I was going to do? I said, because the Most High told me to go in there. And he told me that I was going to walk back out. He said, man, you and this guy, man, I swear, because he done got you out of some things. Because if you knew his record is crazy. But my thing was, I know different ones be looking at who they be looking at in the Bible. And my guy is Caleb. Because I'm like, in my 40 years, I was really in that wilderness. And it reminded me when I was reading that story, how when we would go take trips, right? How the Most High was preparing me for that move to conquer. Because when we would hit other cities, you know, we didn't care how many weights you was lifting, how much money you was making, what you was doing, what God you was serving. We didn't care about none of that. We heard it was giants in the lands. Okay, it's Crips and Bloods over there. And it's GDs and Vice Lords over there. And that never stopped us. I always went, I always made it home. So graduating from that and now living on that spiritual realm, it's the same thing. So when I'm dealing with Christians, I don't care about your God. I don't care who you serve. I don't care about what your culture is or what you believe, what you're going to do. I don't care about none of that, because my God had built me to conquer all them things. So policies don't mean a thing to me. I'm gonna walk through it, and I'm gonna walk without without getting a stain on my shirt. Because if I could do that in the physical world, the Most High put it to me like this. He saw, man, you're gonna stay in that lion's den. And I was young. I'm like, wow, I'm gonna stay in the lion's den. But when you hear the story, I'm like, okay, well, nothing happened to him. But I didn't understand at that time what that meant until when I was going through it. It was like, yeah, you're gonna be in that den, you're gonna be in that fire, but you're gonna come out. So with my children, I always looked at it like, hey man, you got to get your experience however way you're gonna get it. I can't stop your growth because I didn't allow anybody to stop my growth or my experience with the Most High wanted and needed me to go through so he can use me for his purpose. So that's why, it just that part, that buffer just be in my nature. Because even when you running with crews and you going out of town and you going on different blocks and all that, I was the only one in the crew that can peep other people's weakness. How, oh man, we got this. And then you go back, you see how my kids do it. We all get back in our huddle. Same thing we used to do in the streets. We'd sit down. I said, yeah, man, you see when you said this and you see this, you see his reaction and this right here, you see how he moved. And you see when we went over there, what they did, they didn't even want to go. Yeah, we got it. So when I'm buffering y'all, I'm not teasing y'all, whatever. Sometimes I see something in you and I'm trying to see if you're aware of what I see. Because like I say, we was all having the conversation before. If I go on a mission, I want to know your weakness. I'm going to know your weakness. So I want to know if I'm going, oh, I thought you would say so. If I'm going to this situation right here, I need so-and-so and so-and-so to go with me on this one. So, I can't use this person because I know how I move. And I don't know the things that I've been tested, what I've been going through, what I've been through, and I know I haven't had nobody to stop me. So I can't allow a person to come with me and now you slowing me down. And now I got to know you. I got to figure out how you're going to move and what you're going to do in this circumstance. I remember this woman, I think I said it before, a woman had said she was a slave. And she said, the worst part of being a slave wasn't the fact that she was a slave. It was the fact that she had to think for her and other people around her. And when she said that, that resonated with me because I'm like, yeah, when I was outside, when I was in that wilderness, I had to think, okay, if I do this, I know so-and-so gonna do this, and then so-and-so's gonna come here and do this and that. I had to think like that because it been times when You're going to do something, and the person find a reason to bag out. Now all of a sudden they love their kids more than they love the game. All of a sudden, now all of a sudden they can't find the guns that they just came and picked up yesterday. I can't be in a situation and I got to figure out what you're gonna do, because then at that point in time, now you're an enemy, because I don't know what you're gonna do. So I got to deal with you before I can turn around and deal with my real enemy. And a lot of times I don't want to put a person in that situation. So that's why when I'm testing you, I'm seeing where you at with it. I'm testing your colors. I want to see how bright you are. I want to see how quick, how smooth you can move compared to, hey man, I just dropped the ball. Because sometimes you dropping the ball gonna cost me my life. When I have seen a lot of situations where a person lost their life because somebody else was a little too slow, or because they was a little too fast. And then I got to study, it's a song my homeboy did. He wanted me to talk on. I said, man, I studied the crack game for 5 years before I touched the crack rock. One, because I was young. I was like 10 years old, watching my cousins, watching how they move. So-and-so got killed. Well, how come they got killed? Well, how were they moving? What was they doing? All that. So I just want to say, them 40 years, use it. Don't be afraid of that test or them skills that the Most High gave you, that he sent you through whatever mission or whatever, even though sometimes it's not going to look pretty. Some things that the Most High puts you through is ugly, but you got to use it. Because as soon as you turn around, you shy away from it. See, a lot of times a person will get something, they're going to run to the church. They run to the mosque. They run here. And them skills that the Most High gave you, the church can't use you because you way advanced over there. So you over here trying to figure it out, and it's like you grown and you sitting up in preschool. You're like, man, I'm just over here just taking up space. Come over here to this remnant. Give us if you don't believe it, if you don't think it is what it is, man, give us 30 days. You done gave that church your whole life. You done gave that mosque your whole life. Just give us 30 days. A 30-day trial period. And then let us know at the end of them 30 days what you think about it. On here, Wednesday nights when you watching this. If you got questions to ask your questions. Get it off. We're not going to run from anything. We came here to conquer. We took our 40 years with stride. So we're not scared of anything that y'all going to try to throw at us, who you can say about this person or what that person did. None of that. We ready for all y'all. Come try us out. That's all I got, sir. Woo! Let's go. Let's do it.
40, did the thing. Come on. That's a hit right there. All right. I see. It was looking good too. Yeah, top of the evening, family. Blesses everybody in attendance. Yeah, I'm definitely aiming for that right now. There's a lot being said tonight. A lot being said. Powerful testimony from Miss Vicky. Powerful testimony from my brother Ed. I was intending on stepping into this with the intent of bringing a class, right? But the way the Holy Ghost moving, he said, man, everything that you try to accumulate with the research and all this other kind of good jazz I was giving you earlier or yesterday, come on, man, be rid of it. It's time to bring this real, right? So I'm going to hold myself accountable nonetheless, right? Because one thing I refuse to do is allow the enemy strip me of what was here in the beginning of time, the same thing that Adam had the opportunity to be the living representation of, which he actually shied away from. So why choose to be so far away from something that the Most High honors to such a high degree, knowing that it was made in the beginning of time, right? That's been downloaded for me. I had a situation recently, and I had one a while ago. I'm gonna talk about them too. You know what I'm saying? There was something presented that didn't make sense to me. You know what I'm saying? It was from one of my loved ones. My loved one had said from a situation that had transpired, I love what you love, right? And when he said that, I was like, man, that's powerful. That's beautiful, right? You know what I'm saying? Because something that I ain't got into this yet. I'm gonna talk about the joint a little bit. One thing that I hold near and dear to me is the fact of the matter that the Most High provided me a realization through my downfall when I was 17 and young and ripping and running and gunning. You know what I'm saying? That you got to guard your loyalty. You got to guard your loyalty because you're not willing to just be half. We ain't cussing here, but half A about it. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna give it a y'all. You're all in on it. You know what I'm saying? If you doing time, I'm doing time with you kind of deal. You know what I'm saying? So when I heard that, it hit a place in me, you know what I'm saying? It hit a place in me that had, as I seen in the time, right? High value, extreme value, you know what I'm saying? But then upon something within the situation that transpired, there was something else done that a different thing was said. And upon the different thing that was said was, my loyalty lies with you, this person, right? And within that, the only thing that popped up was, because I didn't understand at the time, right? The only thing that popped up was these two don't match from my level of understanding. How you say you love what I love, but then your loyalty only lies with me. So the only thing that popped up was my close ones, my siblings, my nieces, my nephews, my babies. You know what I'm saying? The ones that, as I told Dre, I hollered at Dre, that I hold near and dear, you know what I'm saying, that they still call upon me, you know what I'm saying? I've heard, shared in my previous testimonies, I'm the big brother as the youngest, you know what I'm saying? They call on me when they need me, you know what I'm saying, when they need something done. So pulling from this area of love, you know what I'm saying? Cold, man. It didn't sit right with me, right? It didn't sit right with me because the only thing that I was able to impute in that moment was one of my siblings, you know what I'm saying? I'm going to say my sister, right? And I was like, what if that was my sister? And you know what I'm saying? Whatever the case may be. Once again, my loyalty relies with you. I was like, I can't even rely on my sister as well, right? So there was a response. It was understood. Okay, I get where you're coming from. But when on the drive home, it was really uncomfortable for me because it didn't make sense. I couldn't process that thing. I couldn't receive the totality of what that thing truly meant when one is in this direction and the other one's on this direction. You know what I'm saying? It was like these are two things that ain't adding up, right? So I'm at the house talking to my God. Hey man, this thing's sitting heavy on my heart. I don't like it. I don't like the way that this is making me feel. And it feels like it's about to start penetrating me, right? Now keep in mind, we talk heavy about being penetrated in this, but we are impenetrable because we have the answers and the understanding here, you know what I'm saying? So to know that this was something that I gave attention to and I could feel the essence of it trying to make its entry into me to where it can start pulling at things. But the things that it was pulling at was things I couldn't even recognize in the moment, right? So before the family, everybody, I have to apologize on my behalf of my demonstration if there's been any changes on shortness, on temperament, on lack of conversation. What's the other thing, man? Distance. You know what I'm saying? Because when I'm trying to process this thing, I went back to what I know commonly. I got to go back to the cave. I got to sit in this. I got to marinate in what this thing is and let the Holy Ghost reveal to me exactly what this is. I could hear it from somebody else, but I need to get to the bottom of this. So I'm sitting in that thing for like 4 weeks. 4 weeks. Maybe nobody peeped it. Maybe they did. Maybe they took it a certain kind of way. Once again, that's why the apology's there. You know what I'm saying? Pray you do what you want with it. I love you still. While I'm processing it, you know what I'm saying? I'm finding that I'm not getting through this thing. It's still there. So what I do, Holy Ghost put on my spirit, man, call Dre, man. And the cool thing about it, right, is I already knew that I was going to get chewed out. I already knew I was going to get chewed out. I was like, man, take your rebuke, you know what I'm saying? Eat it, come on, man. But hear the totality of it because you're going to see something, right? So I get up on there. I'm like, man, Dre, what's happening? Whoop the whoop. And I tell him, man, I was like, you know, this thing that I seen, you know what I'm saying? It's penetrated me. You know what I'm saying? It's got me in a state of where I don't know, right? And he was like, that don't even sound like you. You know what I'm saying? This is beneath you, Joe. You ain't even showing up as your true self. He was going in, rightfully so, as he's supposed to. You know what I'm saying? And I told him that it was in regards of my sister being involved or like that. You know what I'm saying? He's like, you got to be careful there. You got to be real careful though. You know what I'm saying? Because the Most High will allow things that you hold very near and dear to you to be something that you then place above him, and then he'll strip you of it. You know what I'm saying? Which we all know here. I knew that, but in the moment, couldn't process it, right? So I'm taking the rebuke, you know what I'm saying? Beautiful rebuke. And within that, there was something said, that's not it though. That's where it kicked in. That's not it. It's deeper than that. That's not the true thing that you're pulling from. That's not the true problem here. I don't know what it is. I don't know what you got going on, Joe. You know what I'm saying? But you need to get to the bottom of it, right? Dre keep going in, but I ain't gonna front, man. As soon as he said that, I was ready to get off the phone and get busy. I was ready to go in. It's time. Look, man, you see something deeper there? Come on. So I'm sitting with the Holy Ghost again. I go back to the cave, right? And I'm asking questions, you know what I'm saying? Being extremely inquisitive on some things, you know what I'm saying? And I'm asking, what could this have come from? You know what I'm saying? I even hollered at my sister, you know what I'm saying? I was like, I want you to understand one thing, man. You're not above my God. I love her though. She was like, I better not be. I was like, you funny. She funny, man. So I had an aha click moment. With that aha click moment, right, where it all clicked, made perfect sense to me was you pulled at an experience from a younger Joseph, right, that had just got done leaving his hometown sporadically from a house being shot up, hopping on the Greyhound, moving in with your mother's boyfriend at the time, right? And he got a gang of kids up in there, you know what I'm saying? This is out in Des Moines. We made it out to the shelters, you know what I'm saying, downtown, the South End, all that other kind of good jazz. And I'm Skip, forgive me. Leaving the hometown, coming out here to Spokane, jumping from shelter to shelter, doing that for like a year and a half, you know what I'm saying, until my boyfriend at the point was like, you guys can come stay over here, right? So we staying there, you know what I'm saying? And while we staying there, when she's not there, this dude, he got an alcohol problem, right? But he had an attitude problem too, right? He used to chew his kid out, which I considered my cousin at the time, right? I used to see it. I used to be like, man, what's up with this guy, man? That's strange. But I remember one time we were playing hide and seek, and he was like, yeah, man, you know what I'm saying? A good spot to hide would be, you know what I'm saying, Ronnie's room, right? I was like, oh, yeah? All right, cool. I always kept that in note, right? So I remember ran up in his room, hid. I hear the door open. We still playing hide and seek. I'm thinking I'm about to be found. I'm found by this dude. You know what I'm saying? He socked me in the face. You know what I'm saying? I'm probably like, what, 7, 8? Just like how Brother Key said in his testimony before, is that when you a kid, you don't forget them things. You know what I'm saying? So I'm inquisitive. I was like, why this dude that ain't my dad put his hands on me? And then after that, what happens? You know what I'm saying? Mom don't find out. You know what I'm saying? No real bruises there, whatever the case may be. But then it turns into Joseph or Jojo. You know, that's my nickname. Jojo, go ask Ronnie to teach you how to tie shoes, right? This dude's teaching me how to tie shoes. The confusion. What? You want me to go ask this dude who just got done putting his hands on me and got away with it, right? Because I ain't saying nothing. I just took my lick, right? Trying to be tough. Not being taught by this dude right here, right? But then thinking even greater on what this thing stemmed from, which was the main question is, why is this dude that just got done putting his hands on me teaching me how to tie my shoes? Why my dad? Now we're getting into it, right? Knowing that this thing stemmed from them phone calls that you used to get when your dad was in prison. My dad been in and out of prison his whole life. You know what I'm saying? I said this in my previous testimony. I can count on how many hands I've seen this man. I love him to death, though. I don't got nothing bad to say about him. Because within this information, I understand not only how to forgive, but how to understand. Not only I understand exactly where they're at, whether they be at their end or choosing to have a change of lifestyle. You know what I'm saying? It's all the same to me. I meet you right where you at, right? But within that situation I experienced with my loved one, I did not. Because what was present? Getting into that. The absence of my father, but more importantly, the knowing of all these conversations, all the letters, all the things that were going to be done, not even just from my father, but from these males that were in my mother's life. You know what I'm saying? The things that we're going to do, we're going to be here, we're going to have this, and me tending to a point where I believe it, right? I used to despise hope. I used to despise hope very heavily because of that. You know what I'm saying? They created something in me that didn't believe in your word because it ain't matching up to your life. And the beauty about that is that that's why I'm an advocate for your words got to match your life and your life got to match your words. That thing led all the way to a point where I'm showing up to my partners like that as I'm getting older. Rebuking certain things that people are telling me what they're going to do for me and all this other kind of good jazz. But you just going to have to show me. You just going to have to show me, man. You just going to have to show up because all that lip service is beneath me. You know what I'm saying? And that even pouring into areas of me being in relationships with my women at the time. You know what I'm saying? Your words ain't holding no weight here, babe. You got to show up. And that made it actually very hard for him. I was a cutoff artist, right? You didn't stand a chance with me. There was no chances. You show me one sign, you're done. I'm on to the next thing. There's a lack, there's a deficiency there. You know what I'm saying? There's an area that poured into everything else. So going back to what previously happened, right? When that was said, that was the only thing that popped up. But it was unknown at the time exactly what that was. So to be able to have the revelation of what that thing was beautiful, right? So I just got done breaking a 3-day water fast this morning. I took my first sip. It felt like I walked through the Garden of Eden, man. Fire. I was like, man, I feel like I'm floating in the bed, man. Couldn't wait to take that sip, right? So yesterday, I'm at work, and what I like doing is on my 10 o'clock break, I like taking a lap around the plaza, chopping up my God. I'm an advocate for that. Talk to your God for real. You know, be very inquisitive, you know what I'm saying? Request, inquire, Psalms 27:4. I want to dwell in the presence to be able to inquire instinctively. You know what I'm saying? I'm an advocate for that. Chopping it up. You know what I'm saying? I knew that this Wednesday meeting was going to be had. And I was asking the Holy Ghost, you know, reveal to me, man, give me something. You know what I'm saying? And he had said, Gotta be careful with this. The Most High through the Holy Ghost has said, he who has been forgiven of much loves much, right? I drew you near through love and kindness. Were you not able to meet somebody right where they're at? Why did you show up to me partial? The word partial, I was like, what? Hey man, I ain't gonna front. That shook me up, bro. I was like, partial, right? So I'm going through it and I'm looking up the definition. One second. Partial means existing only in part, incomplete. Favoring one side in a dispute above the other, biased. What we strive for and what we know that we can become, and that's why and that's why within this culture it's based on value, is knowing that you then can be created as the complete man and the complete woman. You know what I'm saying? You could be the original form of exactly what the Most High had formed in the beginning. I was on the phone with my brother recently, you know what I'm saying? I was breaking down one of my favorite sayings, which is that aroma, right? And I was like, you know what I'm saying? It's just a beautiful thing to know that when the Most High comes to you and he reveals to you, you smell like what I created. He was like, I like that, bro. I was like, nah, it's real though. It don't just stop at it's sounding good. You gotta own up to the honor role of being able to walk this thing down for an eternity. Look, bro, I'm an individual that has heavy failures, heavy falls, but some eternal victories. You know what I'm saying? Real 180, 360s, all this other kind of good jazz. A real life of blowing it big, but also righteousness in the midst of chaos and wickedness. So to know that that was the thing that was present, I was sitting with the Holy Ghost still, right? And he said, you not being able to meet this person right where they're at, or you not being able to meet this situation right where it's at and consider everything, have I not also too considered everything in your life? Did I show up partial in areas of your life? Convicted me. I was sharing this with some brothers yesterday, I believe it was, at the gym. B, Steadfast, and Brother Rob. So, I had a download, man, and convicted me. You know what I'm saying? I might share it. We're sharing it tonight. You know what I'm saying? To know that area, right? It's the same thing like, with a father correcting the son. He's doing this from a fact of the matter that you may have had a misunderstanding, but the lesson of the situation was to bring his love for you to gain the understanding. That's your benefit. That's his omnipresent love given upon to you to make sure that you're continually showing up in righteousness before him. He don't want you to be incomplete. He don't want you to be partial. It's not his desire, especially when you know you got anointing over you. 1 John 2:20, you know what I'm saying? So the second part is, yeah, man, Ed, Miss Vicky, y'all did y'all thing, man. I was gonna come up here and talk about, focus and what is it? What's the other thing? Proper, all this other kind of good jazz. Nah, man, we jumping off the porch with this one. I shared my fall, but I didn't share the details of it. This may bless somebody out there, right? Y'all know I love King David. I love his story. I love the fact of the matter that the love of the Most High was able to meet him right where he's at and provide him the whooping, but also the blessing, the redemption, to be able to be built back up into his position, even in a greater way, right? Because what was done with King David was he lost focus. That's what I was going to talk about tonight, but we're going to talk about it right now. He lost focus. He was on a righteous journey of going to wars, conquering, you know what I'm saying? That was his assignment at the time. But then he got laxed. He got, as he says in his precepts, Psalms, Proverbs, all that good jazz. Lazy bones do not bring lazy bones, in other words. He was referring to himself as I've been able to read, right? And what did he do? He allowed the enemy to be able to come in and prompt him with temptation, with adultery, which drove him to muster up a scheme. And I'm gonna holler at you when I get up there, man. I gotta chop it up with you about that. That's pretty. Yeah, you knew that was his wife. You out of pocket. You out of pocket, man. As we know, he chose to take his lineman's wife, set him to be on the front lines in order for him to get killed by all the arrows that are right in front of the main wall. What else? Come on. And succeeded in that. But then Prophet Nathan had came and prophesied to him about the man who had these multiple sheeps and all this other kind of good jazz. And him then being able to identify that was him that he was talking about, right? So what did he do? David was well connected with his God to the point where he understood not only when he was out of bounds, but what he needed to do to be able to get back in bounds, right? He gained his focus back. Even though he lost it, right? So upon him gaining his focus back, what did he do? Shaved his head, tore his cloth, fasted and prayed, chopping up with his God, asking for forgiveness. Nathan had told him that the Most High is going to take his baby. He's going to take that baby. He prayed that he didn't. He prayed to the Most High that he would. Most High took that baby. And what did David do? He got word that the baby had died. And when he got word of that, he stood up, shaved his face. His men had seen that and had said that you just got done fasting and praying and not talking to nobody. What else? Why is this? He said, there's nothing else I could do. The baby's gone, right? So he got back in his alignment with his God and refocused, right? And then the Most High blessed him with Solomon. To pull at a situation that I recently had, not recently, it was a while ago, you know what I'm saying? But I didn't add detail to that thing. And you know what I'm saying? One thing I'm, once again, not going to allow the enemy to do is take territory on any area that I can take accountability for. So the details need to be provided of this because it may be a blessing for somebody because the demonstration was still intact, but the moment of lack of focus was definitely there as well. And I'm going to say this right now. I did it because I wanted to do it. I did it because I wanted to do it. You know what I'm saying? So with that being the case, I met a young lady, right? Hey, man. Showing up in all the right ways. I ain't gonna front, Dre. I was like, man, I thought I found me a little dove or something. Man. I was like, oh boy, I got a courting process going, right? I was like, okay, let's get into this. You know what I'm saying? She's receiving, she's understanding. She was Muslim at the time. I remember I shared that with brother Ed. She had fell away a little bit from her God. You know what I'm saying? Brought her back to her God. You know, conversations were good. They were excellent, right? All ordained. Me not recognizing, come on, Lord, let's do this thing. Can a man hold fire to his bosom and not get burnt? I didn't recognize that this was going to be a situation that was really going to be able to show me something that I didn't even know existed upon this even being a new experience, but that's no excuse. It's just the fact of the matter of, once again, the misunderstanding, the lack of understanding that you may have, where the Most High is able to bring you up hither to put you in a proper placement of understanding. The lesson was for your benefit. You get to walk away with the scar. So I know we got kids in here. I'm like our brother Thorough be saying when he be popping it. I'm gonna keep it PG. One night we're finally together, you know what I'm saying? Talking, having good conversation. One thing leads to another, you know what I'm saying? We have an experience. We have an experience, right? And after the experience was done, I'm sitting on the couch, right? And I'm looking at her, right? She get up. And I see one thing that I'm very attentive to, which is a spirit. And that spirit that I seen was the immoral woman. Right? So I'm sitting down, right? She get up and she looks at me. She's like, nah, that right there. I don't like that. I don't like that. So immediately, the same way that David had did, which was such a beautiful demonstration for me to capitalize on, to the point where my ancestor did this. You can do the same thing, brother. You got something to believe in. Is to get up on top of that thing fast, ASAP. Pull it to the side. I'm like, hey, baby, hey, no, come sit down. Let's talk real quick. And it's for a whole 20 minutes. Look, this ain't gonna make sense to you, and it's not meant to. This is really for me. But if you receive something within it, may it bless you. I'm already in preparation for whatever the Most High has got in order for me to be as a consequence. You know what I'm saying? And I'm just going in, right? I'm getting ahead of this thing because I see what I just did, and I'm feeling that cloud of doom floating over me in the moment. But I still had faith. That's still what drove me to finish out declaring to this woman or the spirit that whatever's to come, because I'm not going to shy away from my accountability to my God. It's going to be what it is, right? At the end of that, you know what I'm saying? She was like, so what are you saying? It wasn't good? I was like, that's the only thing you got from that? You're okay. So within that thing, right, that didn't give you no excuse to just quit. You partaked in something that you created, Joe. You can't just call it quits or whatever because she may start showing up differently. You know what I'm saying? So what did I do? You're my wife. I was already talking like that before, right? But I was like, you really my wife now. You know what I'm saying? So just get ready to indulge and get the full essence of this thing. You know what I'm saying? Let's get into it. So we're building. Things are going cool. You know what I'm saying? I'm informing her, you know what I'm saying, which I had got from my brother D. I robbed you of an experience. Brother Dre taught us that. Got it from D as a reminder. I robbed you of an experience. You know what I'm saying? Because I said one thing in the beginning and then I fell short on it. And I pray that you choose to stick around long enough to be able to experience the true essence of who I am, and not just this moment, not just this action, not just this lack thereof. Responsibility. That's what we're wrong with. She chose to stick around. And while she's sticking around, she's receiving, but then I just see a slight little turn, right? And within that turn, I'm starting to see the perversion. I'm starting to see the rejecting. I'm starting to see the shortening of conversations. I'm starting to see now where she's back with her God, she's trying to make her God more greater than my God in a sense of belief system, right? Okay, Lord, I see what you did here, because it started out real cool, but it turned into being something else. But why did it? Because of a situation that I created. I created that whole atmosphere. But the cool thing about it is that the Most High allowed that so I could recognize and understand that, can a man hold fire in his bosom? There is true excitement there. The fact of the matter that you may have found a courting process. You may have found a woman that you can bring into a woman. You may have found the good thing. You know what I'm saying? But what did it do? You got ahead of yourself. So truly, for those listening, I know we all covered. I know we all standing strong up at this thing. There's been a couple close calls with my brother Thorough, but I'm one that actually fell in this thing. You know what I'm saying? I'm one that actually fell up in this thing. So, yes. And yes. Funny, hey, funny and funny, but not funny at the same time, man. Because what that drove me to have to do was recognize when an unbeliever shows up. You know, you got to make a decision now. And I informed her. I let her know, you know what I'm saying, I'm seeing a little change in you and things like this, you know what I'm saying. Once again, I'm in preparation for whatever the Most High has in order for me as a consequence, you know what I'm saying, but can't proceed like this. You know, I'm seeing subtle changes, all this other kind of good jazz. I think it's best for you, for where you have your value system placed at right now. I think it's best that you go find something that lines up with that. You know what I'm saying? She was like, well, she couldn't understand it, but it actually showed up to be the truth at the end. If you see this, blessings to you, mamas. Pray you're doing good. And we already talked about all this. She got the first estimate of this thing. But to now know that the enemy works in all kind of ways. Once again, I did it because I want to do it. But if you're not up on top of yourself in regard of your resist guard that the Most High has blessed you with to not only guard and reject certain things, you will find yourself caught up in the schemes and plots of what he has desired for you to experience. So to really test on whether or not you're going to be able to stand in the fire, to see if you're really going to be able to stand up on your accountability. Because keep in mind, it's not just the immoral woman to try to pull you away. It's these testing to see if you're going to be able to stand on your manhood, even though you gave some of it up. Even though you said that you wasn't going to do something, y'all end up falling into temptation. You committed a sin against your body, right? Same thing with David. But you see how he's able to keep a covering up over himself by getting back up on top of that thing. Because within this culture, though we fall 9 times, you can't be utterly cast down. There's always that covering there. There's always the Most High looking out for a remnant. You know what I'm saying? I was going to say one more thing. I know brothers want to talk, man. I'm ready to talk about the joint and some more things. look at Steadfast. I had a conversation with my brother Steadfast about this, but I'm going to save that. I'm going to save this one. Don't mix your now given clear eyes with the system's eyes. You will get caught up. You will get caught up. You may try to perceive as something as it is, but in actuality, it is not. Stay focused. Focus in the conviction of the Most High is your protection. And the power of a proper focus is your benefit. Let me pull out. And the main thing is, how do you do that? By staying focused on your God. I will say this, because this is what I was going to talk about for the class I was going to bring, is there's a lot of distractions out here, okay? Your focus is truly a superpower. I pray that you understand that, as well as your accountability. Same thing that was created at the beginning of time. Honor these things. Honor these things all the way to the point where you're willing to die about it. You know what I'm saying? These being new experiences for us as the original people, finding our God, even coming from places where we may have cursed him, or we may have chose to go a different way, or we may have chose to go a different route in life where we believe that it was really our way was going to be the best way, and it turned out to be something completely different. Understand that the fruits of the Spirit, through your purity, through your obedience and submission, provides you the covering. I got Romans 12:2 right here. Do not be conformed to this world, this age, fashioned after, adapted to its external, superficial customs, but be transformed, changed by the entire renewal of your mind, by its new ideas, its new attitudes, so that you may prove yourself what is the good and acceptable and perfect will of God. Even the thing which is good, acceptable, and perfect in his sight for you. The fruits of his will keep you protected, usher you right into purpose. Anything outside of that, you can identify with clear eyes to understand that this is just a distraction. There's be a lot of distractions going on around here. I'm an advocate for a class that Dre had did when he was talking about, oh, the female's tripping. I'm back to my God. Oh, these dudes is tripping. I'm back to my God. Oh, Eddie talking about his colors. I'm back to my God. You know what I'm saying? For real though. It's a beautiful thing though, because you got the opportunity to take all these given situations and moments, right, and make your choice. Your choice to either stay focused on him or be tossed to and fro by the distractions and the wind of doctrine. Because keep in mind, Ephesians 2:2, there's a spirit in the air. And there's also an enemy out there that comes to seek, he's seeking to destroy and devour. You know what I'm saying? So just be mindful. I had to come get that up off me. I appreciate Miss Vicky and I appreciate Brother Ed for them powerful testimonies. Y'all really prompted me and provided me the ushering in of the Holy Ghost to be able to relay this thing. Appreciate y'all. Much love. Blessings. I'm done. What's up, family? Hello. There's something that Auntie was talking about, Vicky. That's her name. That I was trying to figure out, or trying to look for God in my life as I was coming into the Remnant, because I was never really like spoken to, right? And as I was growing as a child, my mom would always take me to, the Catholic church, and we was always in church, but it was nothing really, let's say, heavy that pushed me to look more into the Most High or anything like that. I do recall that my godmother gave me once upon a time, she gave me like a book of stories. It was like a Bible, but it was stories for kids. And I could remember being so into it, but it would always just fall off. My father, who I never grew up really with him, fell into drugs, fell into alcoholism, and he eventually joined like a AA or AAA thing where they pretty much lied to you, and I was taken there too, where they pretty much lied to you, tell you that you're gonna go into this 3-day trip, but what it is a spiritual like experience where they yell at you, they share kind of like their testimonies as well, and that's the way they break you down, and you have like a religious and a spiritual journey with that, right? And that's supposed to change you. I went into that because there was a kid's experience, and it was all right, I guess I could say. One of the things that I learned there was serving. So we would go as volunteers later on in the future because my parents were so into it that now I was into it now because I would have to go, right? So I would go and I would volunteer and give out food, just always being a volunteer, always providing service at this program that they had, right? And just came back to the U.S., going to school, never did drugs, never really had an attachment to anything, really. I was just dry. I felt like even just now, like going and looking back into the way I was indoctrinated and stuff like that, I felt like, if anything, I lived life just about 2 years ago. That was the time that I actually got to be out there in the city, be out on my own, discover my own self, what I like, because I didn't even know music, I didn't know fashion, I didn't know like really nothing. I was just pretty much dry in my life. I was moving back and forth from Mexico to the US, didn't know much English. And then when I went to Mexico, I had the English and the Spanish didn't really resonate. So it was always like, where am I at? I'm kind of lost, really. Pretty dry, right? No drug, no alcohol, no interest in none of that. Even with my friends, I didn't even like hanging out with them. I was just always just somewhere lost. And one of the things that I was also looking into as just trying to figure out where was the Most High in all this? Where? And I spoke previously on my previous testimonies how I always was looking into my father and always missing him and always not having a leader and just not having anybody, right? And as I was listening to those other testimonies, I started to realize that one of the things that whenever I would call my father or he would call me, the only thing that he would say was, "How are you, King?" And that was the only thing. And as I grew up, that's the only thing that he would say. "How are you, King?" And listen to what I got to say and then hang up. That was it, right? And now I come to realize that just that small part of him saying like, "You're a king," and that like kind of like really, now that I realize it, I took that without knowing. And everywhere I moved, I really, now that I'm looking back into it, I wouldn't move like a king because I didn't have to attach to anything and I did what I wanted to do, really. And anybody that would tell me something, it would just go one ear and out the other. So I remember when I ended up homeless. And then straight after that, I went into the military. It was just a very short period of time, right? And looking back into it, the military really just broke me down to following directions, right? Because there was nowhere in my life where I had a direction. And they really break you down and build you to something completely different, right? Into what they want. You're property of the US military. That's what you are. They tell you things like, you better use sunscreen, or you'll get sunburned, that kind of stuff. But they tell you like, it's not really for you, it's for the US military because you're damaging US equipment. Right? So we're really told that we're really US equipment, right? And it's nothing to us because we have a contract and we know that we sold our life to them, right? So it's nothing like out of the ordinary. Like some of the things that we say is like, it's wild stuff, right? We'll say like, "Oh, kill babies." Like it's something that we normally do, but it's not. It's just something regular in the culture, right? And it's just, we saying that means, all right, we're good to go, or yes, we understand, or yes, we're going to move forward, right? Because they teach you these things in order for you to be able to, in a situation where you had to unalive somebody, you can do it easily without even thinking about it, right? So again, just looking back and knowing that, like, because I had no reference of anything, and when they would teach me how to follow directions, or every time I didn't follow, I would get yelled at. Good. All right, cool. So I was just saying that I went into military as a blank sheet of paper, and they built me up to what they wanted me to be, right? But again, that just
this position of me, like in a way being a king and just following that, was still deep inside me, where I still had a little bit of rebellion, right? So um I was like, towards the end of my contract, they offered me everything. I've said this in the past, where they told me, hey, you can go into special forces. What do you want? We want you here. We can get you a bonus. We can get you to whatever country you want to be. What is it that you want? And it was just, again, that same thing of like, man, I don't even know. Uh, and I guess one thing that I do want is, I don't want any more of this. This is just the same continuous thing. And again, my life was still dry. So as I'm looking forward into where I want to go, I want to go to New York City. And my thing is like, or they tell me, what are you going to do? And I'm like, you know what? I just want to experience things. I just want to go ahead and experience things. I want to experience life, all areas of life, because I just feel like I haven't experienced anything. So I go into New York. I end up homeless. That was one thing. 3 months later, get an apartment, get it with a roommate. Then later on, get my own apartment. Then move on to Jersey, and I start learning about women. And it's like I'm living a little bit of life, right? Or what I so called or think that is life, right? And um, just sharing a little bit about the immoral woman, or just in general women, because I did mention before that I listened to other men and they taught me a little bit about manhood and that kind of thing, right? So I could recall, and this is at the same time where I was listening into the word, and I was um, starting to walk in the information. And I could remember being with a woman, and we was laying in bed. We was about to have intercourse, and there's something that she said that like didn't align to righteousness, right? And or at least on my end, a little bit of what I so-called righteous, because I knew that because of what she said, I knew that she was there because she thought she was in a relationship with me. So I was like, hey, hold on a second. I have a feeling that you think that you're here. I have a feeling that I think that you're here. I have a feeling that you're only here because like you're in a relationship with me or something like that. She's like, well, I thought you changed. I know that you told me that initially we was just gonna have fun, um, and and I think that you changed. And I looked at her and I was thinking about it, and I was like, I could really just lie to her and tell her, yeah, have sex, and then later on let her know that, what, I'm not feeling it. But I didn't do that. I was like, well, I'm sorry to hear that. Now we just fun, man. you know. So she's like, oh, okay. So she got dressed up, and she got driven for me like 2.5 hours, right, just to see me. And packed up her stuff and said goodbye. Well, an hour later, she calls me and she's like, I haven't left. So I was like, well, in order for us to continue this, or in order to spend time with each other, you have to understand that all we're doing is having fun. She's like, all right. She came back, we had fun, and after that, it was just the same thing, right? So now, as I'm literally making my way over here, right? And I'm driving and I make it to Idaho, because I first stopped at Idaho. Because there was a woman that, got a trip for us, and we went to Peru, right? Went to Peru. And see, during this time, I had already understood that, what it comes with being a man, and what it comes with, the word. And for me, in order to know other women, I didn't want to go out my way and go seek women no more, because I felt like that was the thing that would, it was just the wrong focus. And I asked the Most High, and I talked to him, how if there was a woman that would come into my life next, I want him to present her to me. I don't want to be out here chasing or go asking. No, she got to come to me for it. He got to present the situation for me, right? So I'm with this woman. We're all the way in another country, right? And this was around the same time I was with my baby Kiana, right? And we get an Airbnb together, and then she just starts making jokes like, "Oh, we can get in the shower together, right? We can do this together. We can do that together." So I'm thinking, this is the Most High presenting a situation, right? And of course, like, we made out. I didn't have intercourse because I knew that as soon as I had intercourse, I knew that was going to be my wife, right? Or she was going to be my wife, right? And we're laying in bed together, nude, and I'm just like looking at the sky. I'm like, she's all over me. We're all over each other. Trying to get going, right? But I told her, I was like, you know what, we gotta stop. We gotta stop right now. And before we do anything, I want us to, I want you to look into what I got going on, which is the Most High. And I want you to get into these classes. And what we're gonna do is we're not gonna have sex for a whole year. And that was the case, right? So she respected that. We didn't do none of that. We came back, and I let my baby Kiana know what happened, right? And in my mind, I'm thinking that I'm quartering this one, right? And one thing led to another, and I could just tell how she was just so indoctrinated, and she wasn't looking into like getting into the word or anything. And I just seen how the Most High had let me know that you gotta appreciate a remnant woman. And this is the clear difference between a remnant woman and an indoctrinated one, right? So I'm gonna go ahead and read something that also came up to my mind, right? And then summarizes a lot about what I was talking about. If you go to John 10:27 AMP, the sheep that are my own hear my voice and listen to me. I know them and they follow me. So, like I said, like, I didn't have nothing that remotely would be close to God in my life, or that I've seen that was remotely close. I didn't have nobody that talked to me about God. I didn't have any visions, no dreams, nothing. I was just dry with everything. But the thing is, the Most High, going back into it, he allowed me to learn how to listen by just being in the military. Learn how to listen, learn how to really follow directions, right? So when I first hear the word, what am I doing? Just listening, continuously listening, giving the opportunity to these classes, and just listening. And I also want to say, like, there's going to be people that listen to this, and they could be in the information for so long, and they won't get it. You won't get it, because it says right here, the sheep that are my own, he knows who they are, right? Hear my voice, and I know them. I know them. He knows them. He knows you. So if you're listening right now, you have an opportunity, because he also says, and they follow me, right? You have the opportunity right now to follow and listen to the word, just like I did. But at the same time, there's going to be a lot of you that even if you give the opportunity, you won't understand a thing, right? So you are chosen. I know I'm chosen because I'm here. So you got to know that. That's it.
Ooh. Hmm. Hmm. The Holy Ghost is just so powerful, man. Just what Miss Victoria was up here talking about, and what Eddie got up here and talked about after. And I'm gonna go somewhere. And I know last week it was a lot that I was expressing. It was a lot that I was opening up through our history book. And it's our culture, you know what I'm saying? And I did that on purpose. It was the reason why I did that. And it's a reason why I named the class, bring your oxygen mask, right? And through the power of the Holy Ghost, I have been able to have the consciousness that I have through my obedience and submission. You know what I'm saying? And I'm aware of why I'm able to express the things that I express, right? And I was let's see. And yeah, it was so much that I was expressing last week, right? But that was only the key in the ignition. You know what I'm saying? The start of the car, because it's so much more to what is that I'm revealing, right? And so the question is though, why would you name it that? Bring your oxygen mask, right? And the next question would be, that's coming from me, is what happens when your oxygen levels drop, right? Because we speak it to the world, and this is what happens when oxygen levels drop. Your body struggles, right? It's confusion. It was a lot that I was saying. It was like, what is he talking about? What is he? We talking to the world. A lot of people don't know what we're saying. It's fatigue, dizziness, right? And it says vital organs, especially the brain, aren't getting enough oxygen, right? It's that confusing, like, what is he talking about? I don't even want to hear this no more. Like, what is he even saying, right? Leading to severe issues like coma or even death if prolonged. Now, what did the Most High say to Dre, right? He says that my desire is that men be broken before me as though they were dead, right? And you would say, like, what is dead? What does dead mean? The world, what does that mean, right? And my dead was, I was already dead when I was in Miami, right? And every time when I talk to people out here and they ask me where I came from and stuff like that, and I'd be like, yeah, I moved out here from Miami. Oh, for real? That's all the bees out there, all the man. You seen all this and that. There's so much going on. It's money out there and all that. I mean, yeah, that's what everybody flocks to. Everybody is so interested in what's going on out there, right? But I come from Nashville, right? That's where I'm born and raised. I was born in 97. I lived majority of my life in Nashville, right? So even before I came out there, it was like, because I can speak on it now because of the consciousness that I have. And when I was in Nashville, I'm in indoctrination and socialization. I'm seeing everybody around me. They're going to school. You graduate high school, because I never wanted to go to college. I never had the desire to do that. So I'm seeing everybody around me. They going to school. Cass says, they coming up, they doing what they doing. And I'm just like, I felt like I was going in a circle. And I remember that was something I always used to be saying, like, I'm going in a circle. I'm doing the same thing. I need to move. Like, I need to get up out of here. So it's like, and I'm with my lady at the time, and it just a lot of different places I was trying to move to. You know, I was focused on different things. So I'm like, I'm trying to move here, I'm trying to move there. And Miami just ended up being the place that I ended up moving to. And in that space, you know, the enemy already is got you thinking that, you know, just because you move to somewhere, you know what I'm saying, and it's a new thing and stuff like that, but that's different from us making this jump. And you know what I'm saying, I got to clarify that, because that's a difference, because that was in the world. I'm talking about people that's in the world, because you know it's a lot of what I've been through. It's not unique, and I know it's millions of people out there that have experienced similar things, or maybe even the same things that, you know, I'm about to speak on, right? So you know, you living in your hometown and you doing the same things. You know, you feel like you're going in a circle, and then you end up moving to a new city, and you may have found some success in that new place. You know what I'm saying? And you know, to the world, I feel like you know, I did find some type of success, and all the like the hustles that I knew, or you know, the ways that I felt like, you know, I can get rich and stuff like that. And you know, I was trading and stuff, and you know, I had a day where, you know, I made 28,000 in one day. And that might not be, that's not, you know, I know casting this information that done made some substantial, you know, amounts of money, just, you know, that ain't even nothing to them. But it's the fact that in the indoctrination and socialization, it's all about that. So it's like it eventually you're going to come to a space of where it's not enough. You know what I'm saying? And you want more. You want more. And it's like, you know, even after you know, I was trading, and you know, I made some changes. I started driving trucks, and you know, I ended up coming back to Miami, and I was like, you know, I need to figure something else out. Like, you know, what do I need to do? And it's just like that space of me not knowing what I wanted to do, and it's just like get into that space of being dead, because I felt at the time that it was nowhere else for me to turn. And I wasn't suicidal or nothing like that, but it was that I felt dead, because I'm like, I'm here in Miami, like everybody want to come here. Everybody feel like when they come to Miami, you know, they done arrive. That's like all they need to do. They rich. They feel like, you know, it's just what the world, you know, it emphasizes, and everybody thinks the same. When I even talk to people out here, that's what they feel. They like, oh, why did you come here from, you know, from Miami? And I just say that, you know, I'm here for a higher purpose. You know what I'm saying? Because this is value based. I'm not gonna be sitting here doing all this, you know, saying all this extra. And you know, that space of me being dead, and I didn't feel like I had nowhere else to turn. And just in that space of me being dead is when I came upon the information, and I knew that it wasn't the end for me. I knew that it wasn't all about money. I knew that it was more to life than the desires that I wanted, because over time you elevate, coming into the information, you are elevating the will of the Most High. You know what I'm saying? And it's so broad. Like we've been talking about being broad a lot lately in our classes. Like it's the broadness that begins to be in your life when you elevate the will of the Most High. It's not no amount of money. You know, even these cats around that done made substantial amounts of money, it's not no amount of money that will make them compromise the will of the Most High and focusing on doing this work. And that was my space of being dead. You know, I feel like I went through everything. I feel like I went through every way of me trying to make some money or something, because that's what everybody elevates in the world. So that was my being dead. And I know that it's some people that feel in the world today that feel like they may be in a space of feeling like they need to move somewhere, or they need to go somewhere else, because in the place that they're at, the place that they're currently in, they feel like it's not no opportunities there. They don't, you know, they don't feel like it's not working there for them. But in the indoctrination and socialization, it was going to come a time where you will end up in that space of you're seeking more, and you're seeking more out of life because it's all carnal. You know what I'm saying? Through the obedience and submission, it's eternal. You know what I'm saying? So it's nothing that is satisfiable. It's nothing that can satisfy me other than pleasing the Most High. You know what I'm saying? And when you elevate and doing the work of the Most High, and that's where you keep your focus at, it's nothing. You stay broad. You stay. It's nothing. It's no limitations on what you can do. It's no limitations on what you can conquer. You know what I'm saying? So that's just what I want to share. Yeah, right there.
All praises to the Most High. I just had something I wanted to get off real quick. We're going up on a year of me getting into this information, and I'm grateful for being able to see with remnant eyes what my life was leading up to this. 33 years of age, making a jump, getting out that city, getting out from under that oppressor's scheme and all of those other tricks. And so I had a conversation with my OG, with my mom, and it also brings me to the point of Ramil Smith, one of my best friends. So the first two speakers today, Powerful Victoria and Eddie B, I'm gonna pull it from those. Victoria, from her standpoint of being a mother and all of that pressure being broken just to get back to the Most High, I see that with my mother as well. And I know that the Most High has a plan for everything. Like, yeah, he took my father, but he also could have took my mother away from me multiple times. Like I shared it in one of the classes, she was stabbed in the back 19 times, but she survived. And I feel like he pushed her through that because he knew that I needed, at least one parent for me to look and have that hold to, unless I would have been out in that world. Because my experience out in the world was, okay, if this needs to be done, I'm gonna be the one that do it. If we gotta go stick up the dude at the corner stove, come on, let's go with me. And Eddie B had brought up a point to where it was like, I need to know what type of man you are, or like who I'm dealing with, because my life could be on the line. And I had an instance like that, and I'm like, man, I don't think these dudes is cut for real. Like, they ain't trying to hit this lick with me or whatever the case may be. And I'm already priming myself because the man that took out my father was getting released. So I'm like, when he get out, if I can't trust y'all to hit this lick, I know y'all ain't gonna want to do this with me. Like, I'm trying to get him gone. And so that came into a point to where, the Most High was trying, he was getting at me. And like how Victoria said, I was pushing it away, and I was turning myself from it. I knew that he wanted better for me. I knew that he wanted me to go in this righteous path, but I still had this own internal vengeance of what I thought the idea of a man was. The man was supposed to, somebody took out your mans, you take them out or you do something to them. That's not the idea of a real man. That's a male under that indoctrination of the United States, or whatever you want to call it, this white man's world that it was. But it's the end of that now, though. So with this information being like revealed, I ain't gonna lie, I needed this when I was 9 years old, but I'm happy I got it at whatever age I am now. So there was a whole bunch of incidents to where he would test me and to see if I was ready, see if I was, there yet. He knew where my heart was, but he needed my mind and my actions to match up with that. And so he knew that I needed to be a man at all times. So with me having that indoctrination, I could be a man whenever I need to show up. If I need to make some money, all right, I'm gonna show up like this. All right, cool. Now I'm a man. I need a woman, or I need somebody to lay up with me. I can do this and that. All right, cool. I'm a man. Or clout, whatever the case may be. But none of those things matter for the Most High. Those really is just frivolous. Whether it's the money, the education, all of that. Where are you at spiritually? So, okay, he want me to get closer. So he would test me where I had this relationship with my mom to where like I kind of thought that since we were so close in age, that was like the little brother that was acting like the big brother. So when she would do something, I'm like, come on, man, that ain't it. We would go back and forth, have full blown arguments, this and that. And I'm thinking I'm doing the right thing because I'm telling her what I see in her is not the correct way of going about it. And she trying to discipline me. Her whole thing was, I'm a mother and a father. And that used to get on my nerves. Cause I'm like, you cannot teach me how to be a man. You've never been one if you've never had that perspective. So I'm always out here, not looking for a father, but just for that foundations that my father would have gave me. So my message right now, I'm gonna take it somewhere else, but my message right now is if you have any young sons, anybody up under you, it's never too early to give them that foundation. Never too early to bring them out that indoctrination. You ain't no believing in Santa Claus till 5, 6. I gave you these presents. Ain't no, it's okay for you to mess up and all this. No, it's accountability held to it, no matter how young you are, because you never know when that father might be taken away and you only left with that 9-year-old's mentality. So, and I had a conversation with Dre on that, like that 9-year-old mentality. And he was telling me like, man, it just sounds like a lot of things happen. You get stuck and you revert back to that 9-year-old mentality. I'm like, okay, I ain't think about it like that. So that might be a lot of where that self-sabotaging come from, because it's like, how would this 9-year-old deal with this scenario that I just put myself in? I would say the accountability wasn't there because it wasn't an action. It wasn't a foundation. It was like, okay, I'll do it when I feel like doing it. I'll do it when I feel comfortable. But the Most High will put test and pressure on you. So I remember when I was taking care of my mom, she was dealing with some dude that just got out of jail or whatever the case may be. And you see the signs of abuse later if you don't already know it. So, pulling her away from the family, not hearing from her, not doing this. I'm not worried about it because I got the whole crib to myself and I can do whatever, go to school whenever I want to. I can, sell drugs whenever I want to, do whatever I wanted. And during that time, I met this friend, Romel. We had the same last name, so that we used to tell people like, yeah, that's my brother, that's my cousin, whatever the case may be. So that's how we used to do it. And we had the same plug too, and there'd be a competition. Like he smoked. During that time, I didn't smoke. I picked the bag up because I saw the opportunity of, oh, this is the drug that y'all on? All right, I'm gonna be the one that sell it. I'm gonna be the one that come around and y'all just get it from me. It could be from the same whoever. And I used to get creative with it, and me and him would go back and forth. So I used to put a little, like this is what they use for hookah sometimes, but I used to put a little tobacco smell on it. Like Pineapple Express came out, so I used to make my drug smell like whatever fruit that you wanted. And he had ratted me out to one of the clients one time. He like, man, we got the same bag. He's just doing this with that. I'm like, okay, we doing that. So now our friendly rivalry turned into something a little bit more frictional. And I used to see his lifestyle and it would differentiate, and I saw no morals in that. So I went away from it a little bit. Well, just hanging with him. And then it was a pivotal point to where I saw that he wasn't elevating. And it was like, not in the game, but spiritually as well. So I definitely detached from him in that scenario. But it came to a point to where I started tripping out because I had to make a hard decision on whether I was going to slide on somebody and like live with that, or was I gonna let the Most High take care of it? So in that battle, that mental battle, I almost lost myself because I was turning myself from the Most High, even questioning him like, are you gonna take care of this, or do I need to do it on my own? And I'm just going up, I'm walking, I'm pacing back and forth throughout the city, like literally walking from 8 Mile all the way down to downtown and back and all of that. And I remember one instance, I grabbed my shotgun. I had a long semi-automatic Saga 12, and I just grabbed it and I walked into his crib, and I'm like, just whatever y'all got. You know what I'm saying? I just stuck him up just to stick him up on some, like we ain't family like we used to be. And I'm tripping on my mind. There really wasn't no reason to it. So after I did that, you know, we got our little back and forth, and we didn't talk for years. And then I remember this was during Christmas time too. He came back, and you know everything was under the rug, and I was at a different place of elevation. And then we were having conversations. He wasn't doing too good, so anytime I see somebody in a bad position, I have it in my heart to help you out as much as I can. So I'm helping him out, and for like a week straight, he coming over my crib, and it was getting to the point to where like he's staying later and later. He almost sleeping on the couch, and I'm like, man, this ain't it, because I know his heat off. I know he ain't got no power down there. I know he pulling from the he doing the illegal stuff and all of that with that, trying to get some power over them. I'm like, all right, it is cold in Detroit. I'm gonna let it be. But you know, enough was enough, and then I got to the point where he saw the vibe too. Like, yeah, all right, I'm out, but I got this play on the floor. You trying to get on it? Instantly, I'm like, no, I'm straight. Before he even explained it, he was like, all right, well, I got a such and such. You got some bullets for it? I'm like, yeah, I got you. Because he talking about how he about to go do this no matter what. So in my head, I'm like, man, the least I could do is make sure you armed to equip yourself if you go do that. So like a week later, I seen him walking through the alley. He throw his hands up. You know what I'm saying? I throw my hands up, what up? And I didn't see him again. And then I had left out. I had went somewhere. I come back. My mom was like, yeah, one of your friends came by. He was sitting on the porch for like 2 hours. He was asking about you. Well, okay. Yeah, whatever the case may be. I just go in my room, lay down. And then the next day I hit him up like, yeah, what's going on, gang? He like, yeah, they killed Mel. I'm like, they killed Mel? What you talking about? I'm like, okay. I'm already in my head, I'm like, man, am I the reason that he went out there to do that? But he told me he was gonna do it anyway. I was just making sure that he was gonna fire back if something the case. But it clicked in my head like he was never a killer. He was a money getter. But he was compromising so much that money getting spirit went on to desperation. That desperation took him to an evil place to where he thought that was the only way that he could go get money. He'd rather lose his life than go get a job. So I peeped that and I noticed that. I'm like, okay, cool. That's definitely one test where I had to get off of that. Like my compromise with getting money. Like it's okay to do your thing and out there, but whatever you come from, you ain't got to look back or look down on it. You just got to make the right decision and make sure you're doing it with a good perspective. Okay, so in between that, my OG, she's having seizures now from that abusive relationship. And then like, you got to show yourself to be a man has been weighing so heavily on me. Because it was like, I think it's David, he spoke. Yeah, it was David when he knew his time was coming up and he was talking to his son, or he's talking to Solomon. And he's like, show yourself a man. Like, basically, show me what you could do before I leave here. And that was always my conversation with my OG. And I would have it, like Keith said, like, I'd have made 28,000. Like, I didn't touch 100 in 12 months before. She was not impressed by that. She's like, okay, that's just casino money for me. What's up? I'm like, I'm gonna buy this house for you. She's not impressed by that. I got this and this and all of this. She's not impressed with that. All different types of women, not impressed by that. She was impressed by the principles that I'm showing today from joining these classes. It didn't take me 30 days. Like Eddie B said, give you 30 days. If you're really about it, it'll take you less than that. I joined these classes. A week later, I got a 22-year case dismissed because I was focused and I gave myself to the Most High and said, use me as an instrument. Oh, you need me to go out to Seattle? All right, I'll do that. All right, cool. But in between me going to Seattle, I still had things inside of me that I had to get off or get out or resolve, I would say. My disposition had to change. So it would be like how Job said, like, oh, I've fallen into that. Like, I've ruined an experience for you. So now my interaction with women is a little bit different. I don't want to just experience you as quick as I can. I want to break it down to see if this actually can manifest it to, a courtship, and being a husband and wife. But in between that, this is before I even saw the class about the sex game and all of that, the courtship class that breaks all of that down. So I'm taking it slow, but like I'm still falling to where it's like I'm compromising because she owned me in a certain type of way. Of course, drugs, liquor is involved. So that clear mental state is not even there to be present. So now that we having intercourse, I'm trying to draw back. I'm like, okay, let's slow it down. The Most High is telling me, like, listen, you already started that. You gonna have to walk this one through. And so that's when she was like, oh, I think I might be pregnant and all this. I'm like, okay, I can't even make no jump. You talking about you pregnant. This is the second girl this year that's talking about after we had sex one time that y'all pregnant. Like, okay, all right, Most High, you telling me to just relax. So she was like, kept calling it bloated for the whole time because her period won't come. But it was like stress related or something like that. I'm like, okay. So that brought me my resolve. Like the Most High not gonna play with me when it comes to my virtue as a man myself. And I got that from Nas. Nas was like, yeah, I had this young lady, but we ain't do nothing because I hold my own virtue as a man myself and I want her to keep hers. I'm like, man, I didn't even never know that I had my own respect inside myself that I had to hold on to and not tarnish another woman. So that was that. And that allowed me to be able to make my jump. So the Show Yourself a Man came about, with the things that I'm doing out here. There was a time to where I would be at home and I hear this. That'd be my mom falling on her face upstairs. So I got to run upstairs because she having a seizure, foaming at the mouth. And I got to make sure she not choking on her tongue. She not spazzing out and all of this. Put her up. And she ain't no small one. She always, had a size to it, whatever. So I got to maneuver all of that and still be in a calm state of mind to not panic and to make sure she doesn't die. So I don't, lose my walk. Because the Most High, he won't put nothing on your shoulders that you can't bear. That might have probably would have broken me for sure. So in those instances, like we found out, like, her seizures were sometimes random, but most times stress induced. And the last time I brought her real stress was that case that I was talking about that got dismissed from the Most High, only him. And I was on 23-1, so I only had 1 hour to call in, either 9 in the morning, then 9 p.m. the next day, and there'll be a whole rotation for like a week and a half. So I couldn't catch her, and nobody else, everybody either at work or they ain't even up yet, whatever. So I'm calling her, my OG, she ain't answering. So I'm like, how am I gonna call, set up this lawyer or anything? I can't get no business done because she's out here having seizures every single day because I'm in here and I done put myself in this position, thinking I'm this man, just because the world loves what I was putting out there. The world loves the party I was throwing. They love the flashiness that I had, $3,000 glasses. They love the women that I had around. They love the drugs that I provided for whatever the case may be, and the liquor and all of that. So I'm like, okay, that will put me in a position to where I'm compromising my manhood, but I'm definitely giving the world everything that it needs. So in the sense of that, to bring it back, she would be having these seizures every day. So, but one of my loved ones at the time, she like brought my belongings over to the house and just sat with my mom. Like my mom don't even remember it for real. I have to keep reminding her. She just sat with her and talked, and that's all she wanted to get that relief off. So after I got out of that scenario, it reminded me of the position that I need to hold. What you would get over here in this relief doctrine is definite principles of how you're supposed to hold yourself accountable with everything you need to do. The cleanliness of not being able to hold on to those worldly titles, possessions, and all of that. But you also get the blessing that of the family that comes with it. Not only the remnant, yeah, that's your family for sure, but it will trickle down into the people to your loved ones that's outside of the information that sees that. It's a blessing to them as well. So I definitely feel like the more I step up and show myself to be a man out here in Seattle, do this work, show and improve, that is directly tied to the health and well-being of my parent. You know, honor thy mother, honor thy father. You know, you can't honor them if you out here at odds with them. And yeah, that's where I wanted to go with that, just to get those two off my chest. And one thing that came to me was about those scenarios that I used to feel like temptation felt like strength, but it was masked under false discipline. So I needed to get real discipline to understand when temptation did come, that is nothing but my flesh just screaming out, trying to get at something. But I'm more centered as a man to be able to hold that down and, you know, be in my position. So, yeah, I'm going to leave it at that. All praise to the Most High.
Hi, everyone. So I wanted to start off with a question. And have you ever lied before? Well, that's simple. Everybody has, right? Everyone has, at some point in their life, a white lie, a half-truth, right? But a half-truth is still a lie. You know, some people, what they say, fake it till you make it. So keep lying to yourself. And so I've had a problem with that for a very long time. And I'm thinking about it and carried it with me. Still, you know, it's seeping out once in a while, not realizing what I was doing, but now seeing it and catching it, right? And so, you know, when you start seeing what's going on and to fix it and correct it, perfect it, so that way it's not something that keeps coming up, well, I go into my scripture because all the answers are there. All the answers are in what everybody calls the Bible, our history book. So what does the Most High say about that, right? But first, I wanted to see why. Why do I do this, right? Sometimes it could be low self-esteem or insecurity, lying to create a better self-image of yourself, to hide flaws, right? Control and avoidance. Trying to steer situations, avoid disappointment, right? Rejection or getting into trouble. Now we know that children do that all the time, right? A coping mechanism, a learned way to deal with stress, trauma, difficult emotions, and shame. And when I read that, I said to myself, okay, I've gone through some traumatic experiences and felt shame from those traumatic experiences. And so it could be a comfortable place because, just to be transparent, I was molested as a child, and that is a shame that you carry with you. And you're hiding it from your parents. You're keeping this big secret. So it's a constant lie. It starts becoming comfortable. And one thing that I've learned in this information is that comfortable could be like your home, right? You live in it. So I don't want to live in that comfort of a lie, right? Because that's a very dangerous place to live. Another thing that I was reading is that it could become a habit or a dopamine hit. And I was like, a dopamine hit? I thought that was only with drugs. Well, the brain can get used to the high of getting away with the lie. That's dangerous. So I went into the scripture, and on Proverbs 6:16, it starts off with, these 6 things the Lord hates. Now, hate is a strong word. Indeed, 7 are repulsive to him. Disgusting. You're around it and you just want to throw up. A proud look, the attitude that makes one overestimate oneself and discount others. A lying tongue. When I read that hit, because I'm more, how do I say this? It's disappointing the Most High, and I do not want to be repulsive to him, right? I don't want him to look at me while he is looking back and forth in the earth and seeing who his children, who his chosen, who his remnant are, and be disgusted by me, right? The hands that shed innocent blood, a heart that creates wicked plans, feet that run swiftly to evil, a false witness who breathes out lies, even half truths, and one who spreads discords, rumors among brothers, amongst each other, right? And I know gossip is fun, right? Out in the world, get reeled into it, get real, distracted. And that is also repulsive to the Most High. So another one was in Proverbs 12:22. Lying lips are extremely disgusting. I just said that, to the Lord, but those who deal faithfully are his delight. And that's when the reality was sitting with me, like, I want to be the delight, the apple of his eye, right? I'm just a woman after the Most High's heart, not to be disgusted by him, not to be repulsive when he sees me, right? And so there's a thing that we say here in the remnant, that it's the little foxes that spoil the vine, right? And so I started looking into that. Small issues jealousy, pride, harsh words that can ruin a beautiful romance. Small sins, bad habits, or negative thoughts that hinder one's relationship with the Most High. I want to build a relationship with the Most High and to be perfect, to be refined, to be sharp, right? So the vineyard represents love, the building relationship, the people of the Most High, right? And the foxes, the little foxes, are the minor problems, the sins, the destructive influences that, if left unchecked, see, that's where the checking comes in. That's when you have to realize what you're doing and check it and correct it. If left unchecked, cause significant damage to the flourishing vines, our faith. And let me tell you guys, I love to be right, but in the same time, I have to learn how to get the correction and not be so defensive of it, right? And not lie in the middle of the correction because I don't want to seem like I'm wrong. So I just wanted to share that with you guys because that's something that I'm working on. And I know there's a lot of people out there working on the same thing. Maybe you don't even realize what you're doing. And you needed to hear it today. And I hope you can get it. I hope you can go read the scripture yourself and feel it. Feel that power and feel the Most High in you. So that way you stop doing those repulsive things and come closer to the Most High. Thank you.
You want to go? Oh yeah. She blessing us one time. Hold on, man. Let her bless us. Tell them bring your whole mind.
Bring your whole mind. Oh.
Tell them.
There's no buts in the remnant.
Yeah.
Go ahead, baby.
There's no buts in the remnant. Amen.
Amen.
No.
Just pinch a piece of her dress and clip it on there. A little bit lower, like right here. Grab the shirt.
But today I really wanted to talk about something that I've always experienced in school because I am still in school, and it's something that I feel like I really want to talk about and just make people aware so that you don't have to go through the same thing, or just be aware. There's always in school, I had a friend, and she based her relationship with God off of what her mom went through, because her mom didn't have a good relationship with God as she got older, because everybody, basically mainly Christians, they go to church every Sunday, and half of the time their kids don't even want to go, and they're just really the ones that want to go. So when you already don't want to do something, you're not getting anything from it. you're not learning anything. You're not taking it with you because in the first place you didn't even want to go. And she talked to me about that, and she really was just trying to reason with me and probably trying to make me think that that was okay, when I know that that's not okay. Because when I look back at my experience with the information, it was not like that. It wasn't. It was completely different, because when you really want the information, you will go after it and you will thirst for the information, and you will try to get as much as you can so that you can change and so that you can live before the Most High righteous, like you can like a righteous life. And I did try to explain to her the information, because at the time my dad already went to Seattle and I was out here by myself, and I was throwing the information because I love the information. Like I do, but that was one thing that I did try to make known to her, that was not okay. Like it's not okay, because even though you may have went through something that may be assaulting, that may be something that the Most High needed you to go through so that he can level you up within the information. And even though she didn't have it, she could have proceeded her path with the Most High in a different way. She didn't have to go that way just because her mom told her many things. And that's where I feel like the script comes in, because being in the information, you can recognize many things, especially things that you used to do and that you wouldn't do anymore. And you learned from it basically. And when somebody else is going through that, you want to try to navigate them in the right path instead of the path that you went down, the long path, while they can go through a better path and a short path, because you got the information and you can give it to them. But she really did base her experience with the Most High very much. She didn't want it enough to try to go and change it and seek the Most High. And I just feel like she could have went through with that in a different way, and she could have, listened to me. But many people are hearers and they don't fully get it, or they don't care. Like the live that it was on, I forgot what day it was, but Dre did a class and these men he was talking, and after he got off the live with them, they started talking about him and like basically joking about the information. But that you're just hearing. You didn't hear a thing he said, because it could have changed your life if you really listened to it. You probably could have been going through something, and with that information that Dre was giving to them in that live, they could have took it and proceeded in the situation they were going through successfully and conquered whatever they were going through. But they were just joking. They were joking around. They were messing around, thinking it was funny, and it's not. This information is very serious. And Dre be talking about how serious it is, and that's why I do not be, when people be trying to play and stuff, I be like, I'm trying to tell y'all that it's nothing to be played with. As soon as you get this information, you need to take that, or else I don't know what you're gonna do. But you ain't gonna be in this information playing around, because everybody in here is gonna recognize you, like Dre like to say, you gonna stick out like a sore thumb. So you gonna come in here and you gonna try to think that nobody can recognize you coming up here just talking and stuff, thinking that you know what you're talking about, when really you just blabbering it off. And you ain't got no receipts or nothing. You ain't showing us what you really about. You ain't showing us what you really about. You ain't showing us what the information has done for you in your life. Because I can go, even though I'm young, And 14th, in this information, I can walk through with you. But I'm going to save that for another time. But that's just a lesson that I wanted to bring forth for those of you watching and maybe in that situation. I don't want you to be influenced by a person that may come into your life like that. I don't want you to be influenced. You need to go in the bed. You need to like turn away immediately. You need to rebuke that, because when you go about your life and you're thinking about that may affect you enough to change past. Like you may disrupt something that the Most High had for you with even just entertaining that conversation at all. And when I was talking to her, I really did talk to her, like try to talk to her a little bit about the information, because I know that it's something better than that, because I have it and I can give it to you. So I'm going to try to give it to you. And if you don't want it, you ain't got to have it. But I know that at the end of the day got to end. And that's it. That's all I wanted to say. How'd I get here? Okay. Wait, my theme. I accidentally. Okay. My dad used to always try to put on the classes and stuff, but
Not that. How you got to Seattle?
oh, okay. So, shout out to Greatness and Cassie, because at that time I was actually, my mom had told me that I couldn't come out here because I really did want to come out here for winter break. But now that I'm out here, I'm like, you know what? I ain't got time to be going back. You know, y'all ain't got nothing for me out there. I need to come back into this information and just pursue it and, operate. But, I'm always operating. But, I just wanted to be around everybody, everybody else who's operating, and be able to have remnant conversations and not be over here bored in class and stuff because I ain't got nothing to talk about. But I got many people to talk to and laugh with, but in a better way. But anyways, I got here before my dad told me that Greatness and Cassie decided to get me out here. I was actually on the phone with him and I was like, I'm really resolved in where I am, like not in a carnal way where you're just accepting being defeated and playing a victim, but in a way that I conquered it. Like I don't feel the way that I used to feel. I don't feel that way anymore about the situation. Like I know what I need to do. I know what I need to be in this situation, not be doing, not be hesitating. But I knew what I needed to be in this situation, and not necessarily to get out, but leave conquering that situation, because I didn't want to go back and like just be there doing stuff and just doing nothing, being nothing, but rather be and do what I need to do and be in my submission and obedience. Because I really just, at that moment though, I was calling my dad and I was like, you know what? I really am resolved in this. Like, I got this. And I was just walking, my formidable opponent was trying to attack me, but I was not going through that. I was not going to let them defeat me. Like, I was not going to let that happen. Not again. I can't. Like, when you fall, you got to get back up and you got to go 10 times harder. You got, because and especially in this information, like you can't fall and get all this information from Dre and the lies and the classes and stuff, and then you go back into that situation and you doing the same exact thing. You cannot be doing that around here. You got to be coming forth, conquering things around here. But yeah, that's really what I wanted to talk about. So
Okay. That's my daughter. Just saying, man. All praise. You hear me, man? Woo. Woo. I gotta follow strong. You hear me? I gotta follow strong, man. Hey, hold on. With some fire. Up here? Oh, you got me? Thank you. Sure. Hear every bit of this. All right. My phone at. This is real quick one time on them. Yes, sir. The promises with Isaac. Y'all ready? Y'all ready? I really could have really got down on him. I really could have. I was in my head like I could do this for a minute, but I'm gonna just do it real quick. Something the Holy Ghost is breaking down to me, right? How we recognize, how we can tell that the promise is with Isaac, right? This is how we finna cut through the riffraff. We finna get all that. We finna mute the noise, right? This is what he was talking to me about. How do I start this off? You know, in your life, right? You hear many people from all different backgrounds, right? Everywhere whether it's white supremacy, whether it's Christianity, Islam, whatever denomination they profess that they are submitted to, right? You hear them talking about you'll hear people say stuff like what's that term, like being nice is for the birds or something like that, or it's oversold or something like that, because people get tired of being kind, right? They get tired of being nice. They get tired of being respectful. They get tired of operating that way, because when they have operated that way in their lives, they still got crushed, right? They still got mopped. They still got whooped. It never manifested into no conquering, right? It never manifested into them overcoming the situation, and never turned into that behavior never led to a victory for them, right? So I'm reflecting, I'm having a conversation with the Most High, and this is how he broke it down to me, right? Why do you see, why in the remnant, when you hear about loved ones going through different conditions and they operate in that way, right? They testifying to operating the way that I was just explaining, right? The way that the Most High God expects them to operate, and they come out of it with the receipt. They come out of it with that victory. They come out of it having had conquered. Why is that? Why, when you see everywhere else when they're doing that, they don't have the receipt? Why didn't you come out with the receipt, right? It's because of what you are, who you are intending to serve in your heart, right? Let me get into it. This is how the Holy Ghost broke it down to me. They don't have the receipts. It's not working for them, because in their hearts, they are intending to serve other gods, right? It's not to serve the Most High God. It's to serve Allah. It's to serve Jesus. It's to serve Christianity. It's to serve white supremacy. It ain't about the Most High, right? It is not about the God of Israel. It is not about the remnant. It's about serving something outside of who expects you to operate that way for for him to manifest the expectation, right? So while he's explaining it and breaking it down to me, he said, and this is how you are able to sort through everybody and see where the promise falls, right? This is how you know the promise is with Isaac, because it's only manifesting for Isaac, right? It's only manifesting for Isaac. D is Isaac. Dre is Isaac. Dove is Isaac. Nunu is Isaac. Naya is Isaac. You are not Isaac. You know what I'm saying? You are not Isaac, which is why you can operate the exact same way, right? And instead of coming out of that with the receipt, you come out with exasperation. You come out being exhausted. You come out getting whooped. You come out getting crushed. You die in your misery. You die operating that way because in your heart, you serving another God. You're not serving the Most High. You ain't out here at the Most High with the behavior. You're not doing it for the Most High. You're doing it for yourself. You're doing it for Allah. You're doing it for somebody else. But it ain't the God of Israel. It ain't the God of the remnant. It ain't submission and obedience. It ain't that. It's for something else. And there lies the evidence, the proof that the promise is with Isaac. That's it, man. You know what I'm saying? That's it, man.
With the promises. Close us out, baby.
That's my breath around here once. All right, hope that hit y'all in the chest one time. You can catch us Mondays and Fridays, YouTube, 7 p.m. Standard Time, Pacific Standard Time. Tuesday, IG. Hold on. 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Wednesday nights, y'all know we here. Thursdays, OnlyFans, 7 p.m. Standard Time. And if you was in Seattle, catch us on Saturday and Sunday sometime. You know, man. Y'all have a good night. Bless.
I just want to say before we get up out of here, there's a saying that all of us in the remnant have, all of us equally have, because we have thousands of classes with the information. When you hear Kariah come up and talking about she has the information is the doctrine, the relief doctrine. And we always say we have loved ones, family members, and friends that always want a little help. And we always say that the first thing you have to do is get from underneath the curse. Some of you don't understand that there's a curse that was prophesied to Abraham about the conditions that our people are in, right? And then we say to you, get in class. Get in class. Whatever you think you might want to know, get in class. Eddie earlier said, give us 30 days. Give us 30 days, come and see. Get in class. That's all we can say to you. Get in class, because this is built on value. Anybody and everybody that's here is here because of value. Kariah said that her friend did not want to go to church. We understand that. A lot of kids don't want to go to church. But Kariah wanted this information, is here in this information at 14 years old, speaking remnant language, and she has the information, and everything that you're hearing her say, she got it from the classes that we're telling you to get involved in. Get in class. You want to say anything, D?
Represent Remnant everywhere you go.